we're going to have the actual live tonight. It's going to be in regards to the tariffs. Trump is rescinding, at least, or suspending, I guess for lack of a better term, suspending the tariffs on a large portion of the planet for 90 days, with the exception of China. The Chinese tariffs went up to 125%. Here's the skinny on that. The tariffs on China is the ones that are going to affect us the most. Everything we tend to have says made in China. It doesn't say made in Indonesia or even Vietnam that makes a lot of the shoes and shit. Most of the stuff in this country is made in China. So if you suspend all the other tariffs, but leave the Chinese tariffs at 125%, I don't know if that's really going to relieve any of the pressure from the American, from us as consumers once this shit hits. So we're going to talk about that. But like I said, we're not taking callers today until the actual live that's going to start at probably 6 p.m. Central. So for about an hour, I want to get on here and talk to MAGA. If you're in the text, if you're on YouTube Live or YouTube Horizontal, and you're MAGA, you lean right, you normally type comments that do not get responded to. Today is the day I'm going to try to, because I do want to address MAGA more. The reason I have more liberal viewers on the program now than I used to is simple. Like I said, Trump is in power. Trump is the one that's going to get criticized. I mean, you can't be criticizing Biden and Kamala Harris at this point. They're not in office. If Trump does something that's good, I give him credit for it, such as the border. I give Trump credit for, I give him really high marks on his border security. But the tariffs is not, listen, I'm not going to come on the program and pretend that I believe shit that I really don't. All of the economic analysts are suggesting that Trump's tariffs are not good. The overwhelming majority of them believe they're not good. In fact, they're starting to provide percentage rates in regards to the chance we're going to have a recession. So I'm not going to come on the program and be, well, he's playing chess when they're playing checkers and all. You're not going to get that from me. If I think what he's doing is a good job, I'll go ahead and state that. And keep in mind, I'm not always fucking right. I'm giving you my opinion, and I'm here to address and accept yours. But my opinion is I'm going to go with what the folks who are paid to know this shit are saying. I'm not an analyst. I'm not an accountant. I don't deal with stocks and bonds like that. The people that do are saying this is fucked up. So I'm going to go with what they're saying until I see something otherwise. And that's why I'm coming on the program. I get a hell of a lot of folks on the right that are speaking so favorably of what Trump is doing. And just like myself, they're not involved in this stuff either. They just have blind hope for President Trump and that it'll turn out right. Nothing wrong with having blind hope, but you're not in position to be saying it's going to turn out fantastic. I'm going with what they're saying. Until then, we'll see what happens. So looking in the comments, though, that happens to every president. I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that at all. But what Trump is doing is very unique. What Trump is doing is very unique in terms of imposing tariffs on the entire world simultaneously. We are tired of your bias view and all your crying and whataboutisms. Liberty or death. Where the hell are you going to go where you're not going to get whataboutisms? If you think that you're seeing whataboutisms on this program, shit. Where you want? Let's go to a program that leans right and bring up January 6th and tell me how quick Black Lives Matter is going to come up. Let's talk about Trump and see how quick something that Hillary Clinton or a liberal did is going to come up. You really think the whataboutisms are excluded if you go right? Really? I mean, but like I said, we're here to address the concerns of MAGA, and he certainly is, and I don't mind the criticism. So looking in the comments, so Warren Buffett was only 110, Warren Buffett was only 110, 50 years ago. I don't know what you mean by that. Trump, I'm adding tariff. MAGA, this will create jobs. Trump, I'm removing tariffs. MAGA, art of the deal. Trump, I'm adding tariffs. MAGA, this will create, and see, that's what we're trying not to do in the program. And that is why, unfortunately, I do lose some MAGA viewers. Is because we're in a tribal environment, whereas if you don't say the shit people want to hear, if you don't defend their candidate, they don't want to listen to you. I'm trying to get around that. I try to make the show entertaining, but I want it to be authentic, where I'm not telling you shit that I flat out don't believe simply to defend or criticize one of the candidates. I don't want to get into that point. And a lot of folks, listen, when I was criticizing Biden for the economy week after week after week, I was being called a sellout. I was being called an Uncle Tom. I was being called a coon. I was being called, Black MAGA. Because the liberals didn't like that. I was criticizing Biden. Now that Trump is in office and all of the controversial shit that's coming our way is coming from him, I'm getting the same thing from MAGA. I'm getting the same thing from MAGA. But as I stated to you, we're trying to give you as much of an authentic program as we can, which is why I'm here to take your questions today. But, I try to call it as I see it. If I get the shit wrong, I'll call that out too, damn it. I give everybody a chance to speak, no matter what your opinion is. What do we say on the program every damn day? We go left of Bernie Sanders to him having a dinner with Q. That means everybody gets to speak. But that also means you're going to hear things that are not necessarily favorable to your political point of view. A lot of us watch media that leans the way we do, and everything they say is favorable to our line of thinking. That's just not what you're going to get here. That's not what you're going to get here. And for folks who want that, they tune out. They tune out. You're biased. Listen, even on the right, now I get folks talking about I'm biased, and I'll go back to the comments right quick, but even on on the program, you look at folks who are favorable to Trump. Candace Owens, she had a few things to say, and suddenly, all of a sudden, some of the MAGA folks a few months back were criticizing Candace Owens. Fox News, during the 2020 election, they started admitting Trump lost, and the right started hating them. In recent times, Joe Rogan pointed out that some of Elon Musk's waste, fraud, and abuse findings were not true. And it instantly made him go from the #1 podcaster down to like #3, if I'm correct. We're not trying to do that. And listen, if Elon Musk's findings are inaccurate, damn it, you should be able to say that without people that like Elon Musk say, well, fuck it, I'm not going to listen to you anymore. It's almost as if I only want to hear good shit about my candidate. Even if my candidate is not doing good shit. Can't have a program like that. That's just not what we're doing. So let me get into the comments, though. Social media numbers are down everywhere. A lot of content creators mixing it up, Tim, to we get it. Well, and I like that. I want to mix it up. Hopefully more people are doing it. That sounds good. But yeah, you shouldn't have to be in a predicament where you're saying things and you don't, and I got a lot of folks tell me this all the time. You would do so much better on social media if you would just come to our side. Talking about MAGA. I had a guy tell me yesterday, he's straight MAGA. In fact, I think he's more Q, but he told me, you're black, you're articulate, you can get a point across. If you would come to our side, you could be making 10 times what you're making. He's accurate. He's correct about that. But I told him, I don't want to get to a point where I got to say some shit I don't feel. If he's doing a good job, I'm gonna say Trump is doing a good job. But if he's messing up, I don't want to get to the point where I can't say that. And the African American that favored Trump, the Black MAGA as they call themselves, they don't criticize him at all. Nothing. Everything he does is good. That can't be true with any political candidate. Everything Biden does wasn't good. Everything that Obama did wasn't good. You have integrity. Appreciate that comment. Mellow fellow, thank you. In 1974, workers had 74% equity. We need jobs in America now. I don't think it's that we need jobs. I think we need better paying jobs. I don't think we're in a situation right now in America where if you're looking for a job, you cannot find one. Ever since the pandemic ended, they've been begging people to come back to work. In fact, that's why fast food and minimum wage jobs pay a lot more than they did before the pandemic. You can get a job. The problem is the jobs don't pay enough. That's the difference. But I don't think there's a shortage of jobs. You cannot criticize the orange Jesus. I don't want to be in that category. I really don't. I want to be able to certainly criticize and compliment whoever. It's not about defending. It's about being real. Just be honest, not biased BS. Yeah, I mean, that is a good way of explaining it as well. But I mean, listen, you know what I'm talking about. You totally know what I'm talking about, that there are programs out there that are going to defend their candidate of choice no matter what they say or do. No matter what happens, they're going to rush to defend that person. As somebody rightfully pointed out in the comments, right now the right is defending Trump on the tariffs. Fine, you think the tariffs will turn out great, that's fine. But the point is, Trump has not been consistent on the tariffs. You know, just yesterday he was talking about he was not going to offer a suspension on the tariffs at all. Today he did. So he made a 180-degree change from what he was saying yesterday to today. Guess what MAGA and the right-wing programs did? They made a 180-degree change as well. That's not unbiased reporting. That's not unbiased reporting that where you're operating, not with principles, but just whatever he says today, I'm with that. And if he changes his mind tomorrow, I'm going to change my mind too. That is what we're talking about. That's all I want to say. That is what I'm talking about. I don't want to get to that point like that on this program. Looking at the comments, free speech, healthcare, jobs, wages, egg prices, gas, all in the toilet. Well, right now, gas prices are not that bad under Trump. I mean, that's not to say things won't get bad. That's not to say things won't get better. But right now, we're not there yet because the effects of the tariffs has not been realized yet. I'll tell you this, though. When you factor in how much shit that Walmart sells that is made in China, if we're going to impose a 124% tariff on everything coming in from China, are you capable of handling 124% increase on almost everything you buy, from food to furniture? I mean, that's what we're about to deal with, because they're going to pass all that on. They're going to pass the cost of all of that on. Now, let's say Trump actually emerges from this victorious. Let's say China realizes we can't compete with this shit for long, and 3, 4, 5 months down the line, they cave and Trump comes out victorious. How are Americans going to be if they have to deal with these greatly increased prices even for 3, 4, 5 months? That's enough probably to make some people damn near homeless. Even if Trump wins, most Americans are already living check to check off the price of cheap Chinese goods. If all of a sudden you got to buy American, most people can't afford that. So we'll have to see, but I'm just presenting a case to you where even if Trump wins, a lot of Americans might lose because we're not situated to handle an increase in price, an increase in the price of goods and services by that much. That's significant. And that's in addition to a 10% hike on everything else. All the other countries still have a 10% hike on their shit. He suspended it from that big ass list he had in his hand, but 10% across the board still exists. So you're going to pay a minimum of 10% on everything. And the bulk of most stuff come from China, where you're going to now be paying 124%. Looking in the comments, though, everything is down. Eggs, gas, inflation, economy's good. So we won't be hurt. John Call, I don't know if by way of yes or no in the comments, folks. Just simply type yes or no. Do you agree with my viewer where he's stating that currently the price of everything is down? Eggs, gas, inflation. And he follows up by saying the economy is good, so we won't be hurt. By way of yes or no, how many of you agree with what he's saying? How many of you agree with that? That the economy is good, the price of everything is down right now? I haven't seen that. I'm going to tell you, I have not seen things that rosy. I don't know where maybe you live in an area where things are really kicking off very well, but that's not the observation I'm looking at right now. Not that good. Not that fucking good. And by the way, I'm not hearing even Trump say nothing like that. Since Biden anyway, says John Call. I don't think even since Biden, the price of gas and eggs and things like that has dropped to a significantly enough to make the claim you're making. Not all over the country, at least. The market game today was over dramatic. The cheapest place that you might get from is now doubling the price and 10% applied to everything. Yeah. One of the issues I think that we're really faced with is uncertainty. Whereas now Trump imposed 125% tariffs on China today. You know what he cited? The reason why he did it? Lack of respect. That's what Fox News, Jesse Waters on Fox News stated that Trump said. I'm watching the 5, it was on behind, it just went off, but he stated that Trump went up to 125% because of the lack of respect. So all of us are involved in a price hike that won't really affect Trump at all because he's getting all of his shit paid for by the government, not to mention he's a self-made billionaire anyway. We're the ones that's going to get hurt. He's raising the price of shit because he got disrespected. Now, I thought the liberals were the snowflakes that acted all in their emotions. He went up to 125% price hike, or a tariff rather, because he got disrespected. Really? Wow. Looking in the comments though, maybe you should take off those rose-colored glasses and see this is the greatest country to exist. Yeah, it has problems, doesn't everything. Y'all wish this was like China or Iran. So bad. Now, and by the way, folks, that is what I'm doing here today. This is the live before the live. I'm going to have an actual traditional live in about an hour or so. But I wanted to speak predominantly to MAGA today because they don't always get a chance to come up in the comments. If you do have Instagram or Clapper, you can come up. I'm not on TikTok specifically because I want to be able to speak to MAGA without the TikTok interruptions. But in regards to what you just said, take off the rose-colored glasses. Who's saying currently things are rosy right now? It definitely is not the liberal side of the fence. They're saying things are gloom and doom. So I don't know where the rose-colored glasses are coming from, but you said, and take off the rose-colored glasses and see that this is the greatest country to exist. Actually, the rose-colored glasses is what would lead you to believe that this is the greatest country to exist. I think you kind of got that one backwards there, Santiago Rodriguez. Putting on rose-colored glasses is what makes you think that everything is rainbows and unicorns. If you take the rose-colored glasses off, you can see the fucking truth. So when you say the greatest country to exist, I don't want to shit on my nation. But in regards to the greatest country in existence, I would just submit this to you. What are you judging it on? Are you judging it on the quality of our health care? Are you judging it on the quality of our education? Are you judging it on the health of our citizens? The longevity, the lifespan of our citizens? Are you judging it on any of that? Because if you are, you might be the one that probably is wearing spectacles that you're telling me to take off. I mean, when you look at the educational rate of our children and shit like that, I mean, even RFK would tell you we're not the greatest to exist in the terms of what we're putting in our food for our children and our citizens. So I don't know where you're getting the greatest to exist. Even the administration themselves are not even saying that. So it depends on what you're judging America on, Rodriguez. We all have to suffer while Trump and Elon become richer, manipulating the market, says Kevin. We'll see. Santiago, they don't get Trump is working on a lot of everything. Tim, you just said, wait. You're saying they don't get that Trump is working on a lot. Yeah, Trump is doing a whole lot. Border, LGBT issues, he's working on a whole lot. He's doing what a president is supposed to do. He's working on far more than Biden was in the first 2 or 3 months. I do believe that. But just because you're working on a bunch of shit don't mean you're doing a good job. Working on projects does not correlate to doing a good job. You can work on 10 things at once and be fucking them all up, or you can work on 2 things and get them right. I'm not saying Trump is fucking them all up or getting them right, but just simply saying he's working on a lot of things, that doesn't really mean anything. You can work on, you ever heard of the phrase doing too much? Democrats should have given ADOS FBA reparations. It would have been a hell of a lot cheaper than what America's about to go through. Trump is going to destroy this country, says Arthur. Yeah. I don't know if he's going to destroy the country. Listen, worst case scenario, we won't be a superpower and we will not be as wealthy as we have become, grown accustomed to. Even the poor in America are probably middle class, if not wealthy in other countries. We're a pretty wealthy nation. So we could, I mean, because keep in mind, China, just a few decades ago, that was a far poorer country than it is today. This is why, and I'll go to the next message, but this is why a lot of folks need to realize that when Trump is trying to play a tariff war with China, everybody doesn't bend. Some people will chop off their damn nose to spite their face. Some people stand on principle. In modern times, they call it standing on business. Some folks are willing to let you take them out before they surrender. Keep in mind, we have really strong and tough sanctions against North Korea, Russia, Venezuela, the nation of Cuba ever since the Cuban Missile Crisis. They're not bowing down to America. They would rather live in poverty than bow down to America. Every damn country I just gave you, would rather damn near live in poverty and deal with the sanctions than bow down to the United States. So for folks thinking that Trump is ultimately going to win the trade war with China, understand that there are people that refuse to bow down. So he may not win the trade war with China. And keep in mind, while they're deciding who wins and who loses, you and I are losing because we're paying a bunch of money for the shit we used to get for cheap. We're not winning in any of this. Even if Trump comes out victorious, you and I are the boxing gloves. He might be the boxer with his hands shoved up your ass, but it is your face he is ramming into his opponent. So even if he wins, when he takes the boxing gloves off, you are on the ground there with all the blood and shit on you. He's fighting using us. Keep that in mind. Looking in the comments, Trump is actually a really good golfer. You are delusional. I don't know what that's got to do with this, but he plays a lot of golf. If he's good in it, so be it. He has proven he is losing the trade war with China by suspending the tariffs. Damage has been done. I don't want to go so far as to say he's proven he's losing, but because he didn't suspend the tariffs with China. He didn't suspend the tariffs with China. In fact, he increased them. He suspended it with the rest of the world. I won't say he's proven that he's losing, but I think it is making him, I think there's enough financial analysts, even in his own party, like Elon Musk is coming out and saying, I wish we would have a 0% tariff with the EU. So now there's starting to be some infighting within the Republican Party. Fact is, most of Congress, left and right, most of the Senate, left and right, most governors, left and right, have a ton of money invested in stocks and shit like that. There's a whole, this is what, when I told you on the program, I don't like telling you shit that I don't believe in just to have an audience, and I don't do that. There's a whole lot of folks on the right that are losing a ton of money that are in Washington that do not want to tell Trump they would rather he not do this shit. Some of those senators in Congress, like, let's take Mitch McConnell, for instance, his old ass. He won't recoup what he's lost, period. Whatever money he had in the stock market, he will never see that back. He has permanently lost money due to Trump. Mitt Romney's another one that's old enough. He will never get that back. That money is gone. And there's a lot of folks on the right that are like that. But it's not popular to criticize Trump, so they kind of got to stay around and take that. Looking in the comments, the 1% was even on social media. Don't know what you mean by that. 75 countries have been coming to the table. They got the 10% tariffs. Janet, let me push back on that. And I'm not saying what you're saying is incorrect, but the notion that all these countries are coming to the table, that's coming from Trump, period. Now, I'm not saying he's lying, but I damn sure I'm not saying he's telling the truth either. That is what Trump is saying, is that all these nations are kissing his ass and coming to the table.
Ass up, kissing my ass. They are dying to make a deal. Please, sir, make a deal. I'll do anything, sir. And then I'll see some rebel Republican, some guy that wants to grandstand, say, I think that Congress should take over negotiations. Let me tell you, you don't negotiate like I negotiate.
Let me say this real quick in regards to that. First of all, even if what Trump is saying is true, and I don't see any evidence other than it's coming out of his mouth, why would you say this shit out loud? Because if you are punking me out, the last thing I want folks to know is that you are punking me out. I might be willing to let you get away with some shit because I know I can't defeat your ass, but I would rather keep that private, that you punk me out. When you go on the world stage and say something like that, you motivate, if not encourage those nations to say, fuck this dude. I'm not going to let him go out here. Now you just embarrassed all of them. Why would he say this? Why would he do this? Why would he do something like that? Is it okay to just win in silence? Now this is for the most part gloating. So now every nation that may have reached out to him to try to make a deal, now they're going to be labeled as ass kissers because that's what he just said. Why not do that? Why would you go? I don't understand it. Somebody let me know in the comments. Why the hell would you do that? That is incredibly unprofessional. This is the same thing I said about taking Greenland. I think Trump could have gotten Greenland if he had did it diplomatically. We already have a base here. We're willing to, fork over some money. We're willing to offer you protection, whatever. Just do it diplomatically. When you go on the world stage and embarrass folks, even if they are peons and weaklings, you kind of call their hand and force them to act. I don't know why he would do that. Looking in the comments though, see it. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Tim, why give Israel $300 billion, then punish the average American through tariffs? Wow. MAGA should pick up an economics 100 textbook and read and stop watching Fox News. The rich are shorting the stock market. All of the analysts are saying exactly what you're saying there, Sid. Thank you for your support. All of the analysts are saying exactly what you're saying, is that once the stock market tanks, the folks who do have a lot of money, it's the perfect time for them to buy super cheap stock, and then when it bounces back, they just are incredibly wealthy. Yeah, everybody is saying exactly what you just said. And you're right about watching Fox News because a lot of the things that the right are saying in defense of Trump, it is being echoed. They are echoing it from networks like Fox. Like I said, what Trump is doing may turn out to be great. But there's no way to be saying that this early in the game. There's just no way. And as I stated before, we've had several nations show us that just because you get tough on us or you make threats, don't mean we're going to bow down. Iran has never bowed down. North Korea has not bowed down. Venezuela has not bowed down. Cuba has not bowed down. So why do we think China, who is exceptionally more, considerably more powerful, considerably more wealthy, why would they bow down? Why do we automatically assume China's going to bow down to Trump? When those nations have shown us, I'd rather live in poverty. You ever heard of the phrase, give me liberty or give me death? Some nations, fuck that. I would rather we live in poverty than to bow down to this guy and have him embarrass us. And this is a dictatorship. So they don't have to worry about what the people think. Looking in the comments, talking about China. No reply says, I was Elon's drug dealer. Elon's main assistant, MB, used to buy cannabis from my dispensary I owned. I would deliver it to her in, Menlo Park for Elon once a week. Wow. What was the tip like? If you're not shitting me and you used to deliver stuff from the dispensary to Elon, or man, the tip should have been great, right? No, them countries have not bowed down to, China is not bowing down. China tariffing the USA. Yeah, not only is China not likely to bow down, there's a lot of nations that are willing to bow down and work with China. Because keep in mind, Trump didn't just impose tariffs on China, he's fucking with all the other world too. So China may actually profit from this. Not only do we not have to bow down to the Americans, we now have a ton of new trading partners because of how the Americans are threatening and treating them. Don't be so quick to think the Chinese are just gonna bow down. They got unlike Zelensky of the Ukraine, they do have a lot of cards. People need to realize that. Rich folks are greedy. LOL, they don't tip well. As a former Uber and Lyft driver, I agree with that 100%. In fact, if you ever find yourself homeless or you need to beg for cash, chances are the person that helps you is struggling themselves. The wealthy don't have shit to do with the poor. That is 100% fact. Exactly, Tim. Even Canadians would rather die Canadian than be American. Damn. Yeah, you start threatening their sovereignty. I've seen plenty of Canadians in some of the Canadian news programs. Yeah, we ready to fight to the end. I had a guy come calling him for the program from Greenland. He said the same thing. We know the United States will kick our ass, but we would fight to the death before letting them take our country. So it is what it is. I think us in America, we've been a superpower for so long. We just have a bully mentality. Nobody can fuck with us. We can beat anybody. You know, we don't, as Trump said, we don't need you, you need us. Man, as Kevin Hart once said, you're gonna learn today. Looking at the comments though, I'm rich and I tip really well. No reply, ain't enough of you though. China doesn't play cards. They have the Mahong pieces. Same here, I would die defending my country. Canada. See it? Yeah, exactly what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I really think Trump could have gotten a lot more of the stuff he wanted to do accomplished if he did it diplomatically. Going on TV and saying that people are kissing your ass. If I just called you and tried to make a deal with you, and then you're on TV telling people that I kissed your ass, I'd probably call you back and say, fuck off. Do what you gotta do, man. Fuck it. Do what you gotta, whatever. Whatever happens, happens. I mean, that's just embarrassing to have him. This is just like calling Prime Minister Trudeau a governor. Why the hell would the Canadians work with America when you're insulting their leadership like that? Trump knows damn well he would not want somebody demoting his position. We had 2,300 protesting in our city last weekend. Population 72,000. Wow, that's a lot for that small population. Yeah, I mean, but there's still a lot of Americans that are strong on Trump, so it ain't over with. Real Jeremy Summers. I'll take a call. Like I said, I want to mainly address MAGA, but I'll take a few calls here over on Instagram. If it brings them up. Do you think we are headed towards war? What would the Americans do? It's possible, because if America doesn't come out on the right side of this tariff war, we'll probably try to interfere in another way. If all of a sudden nations start doing business with each other instead of America and doing deals behind our back, we probably will use the military in some fashion or form that could spark a further conflict. We don't like coming out on anything other than on top. And that's even before Trump was in office. Trump is going to be even worse. So I don't want to say it could spark a war, but I damn sure ain't going to say it can't. I feel more confident that it could lead to a military conflict than not. Because if America doesn't win, we're going to win one way or another, or we're going to attempt to. So just simply talking about the way America has been. We have lost respect, says Penny. Yeah, there's some permanent damage in regards to the relationships. I said this before in regards to Trump when he broke the Iran deal, NAFTA, Paris Accord, talked about getting out of NATO. I said this, and MAGA chewed me a new one, and I always invite the dissenting opinion. I don't mind. You can insult the hell out of me. I'm all about free speech. So understand that. You don't have to ever worry about your political opinion on this show. You can criticize any way you want. If the apps will allow you to say it, damn it, I will too, even if it's critical of me. But I did say that when Trump became president in 2016 and he got out of all of those deals, he was showing the world then that America cannot be trusted in regards to the treaties and deals they signed on the bottom line. If we make a deal with America and the next president can come along, a la the Iran deal, and say it's a stupid deal, we're breaking it, why would you make any deals with Trump? What if you make a deal with Trump and the next guy says, well, Trump's deal was stupid, so I'm going to break it? He really showed the United States as not being trustworthy. And I told this to MAGA, didn't like when I said this. I said, listen, even if what Trump did, breaking the Iran deal, even if you believe it makes sense, even if you believe the Iran deal sucked that Obama made, your word is your bond. You're not making deals with Obama. You're not making deals with Trump. You're making deals with the United States. Once we put our name on a dotted line and we sign and we're going to hold up certain parts of a bargain, the next president, damn it, is responsible for doing that shit. You don't get rid of the deal because you don't like what the last guy did. He really weakened our credibility by doing that. Even if you favor him getting out of the Iran deal, which is why right now he's threatening to bomb Iran if they don't come back to the table and make a deal. Why the hell would Iran make another deal with Trump? Why would they even dream about coming back to the table and making a deal with the guy who canceled the last deal they made? Why would they do that? First thing I would suggest, probably for the commander-in-chief that comes after Trump, is you need to get Congress, probably the Senate too, to pass a bill that says from now on, any deal we make cannot be broken by a single man again. It has to go through Congress. It has to go through Senate. Shit, damn near 2/3 majority or some crazy shit like that. So that the rest of the world will know if we make a deal, we are reliable in keeping it. You cannot make deals anymore that one man can break. Just one guy can break that deal. Why would I enter into any deal with the United States ever again knowing that one man can break it? He really showed, even if you favor everything he's doing, he's really showed that the United States is not a trustworthy nation after that. That's just my opinion. Looking in the comments though, average home price in Illinois is $283,900. I don't know what the relevance of that is though. Compare heating costs, drill baby drill, make America rich again. Shit, you know something? Why isn't that coming up? Everybody's suggesting, there was one of my Trump viewers there saying that, drill baby deal, make America rich again. Here's the issue. Trump, MAGA rather, was saying we need to stop sending money to the Ukraine. Take care of Americans first. Take care of Americans' veterans. Take care of the homeless. Why are we sending money overseas? Trump got elected, we immediately stopped sending anything to the Ukraine. It never was money, it was weapons. But we are no longer helping the Ukraine out at all. MAGA would say that's a good thing. USAID, another charity, for the most part, a charity organization of the United States. Whether we're helping out starving kids, folks with HIV, you name it. America used to rush to help folks out. We're no longer doing that either. We completely eradicated USAID. I mention on the program all the time where Burma just had a major earthquake, where they're talking about as many as 10,000 folks may have lost their lives. That's the kind of shit America used to rush to. We didn't even go this time. Europe helped those people out. So we're not doing charity anymore. We're not helping the Ukrainians out anymore. In fact, we've even gotten rid of a bunch of federal employees that were born in this country because we thought they were wasteful. We've gotten rid of, or we're in the process of getting rid of all of the impoverished immigrants, so we're not helping them out anymore. When do we get to the part where America's getting rich? Have you heard Trump saying anything he's going to do for the American people? Now that we've gotten rid of all of the waste, fraud, and abuse, and we've kind of gotten it down to a science? I haven't heard it. In fact, we're talking about having a $92 million parade in the president's honor this June in D.C. So I don't know if I'm hearing that. Looking in the comments, Toronto is like the California of Canada, little buddy. It's super expensive and populated. It's not anywhere near average. I like Toronto. I've been there before. Truth be told, both sides suffer from the blind following and just sit in chat and throw insults. That is true. It wasn't that long ago I did the same. It's not smart than the next person, but I'm not dumb either. And the blind insults do no good. But I will tell you this is where I am going to blame Trump to some degree. Unity and leadership starts at the top. If the very top of this nation is insulting everybody, the people are not going to unify under that. It's like if you're in the military, if the leadership in the military is divisive, the folks under them are going to be divided as well. Leadership starts at the top. We're not running a country based on unity right now. We're just not. It is. He's legit a good dude. His channel is awesome. Wow. I don't know if you refer to me, but I definitely appreciate that if that is the case. This channel is legit, says Wade. No blocks here. No dissemination. Yeah, we definitely believe in the freedom of speech here. So if you're critical of the host, damn it, there's no problem there. It's a process after the last administration conundrum. This is what I'm talking about. Polish guy, I appreciate the comment. This is what I'm talking about, though. When I say if Trump says something today, MAGA's on board, that they change their mind. If Trump changes his mind 180 degrees tomorrow, MAGA follows that. Now, Polish guy is saying it is a process to look out for Americans and things like that, particularly after the last administration. He said it's a conundrum. Trump promised to do a whole lot of shit super fast. He constantly used phrases like on day one, within 24 hours. Now all of a sudden that he's not delivering on any of that shit, MAGA is suddenly like, well, you know, it takes time. He's only been in office for 13, 14, 15, 16, 6 months, a year. That ain't what he promised. That's not what he promised. So are we to suggest that it is indeed the voters' fault for not realizing that when he said he could do something in 24 hours, he was lying to their face? It's their fault for not being smart enough to know he was lying? Because they're not making it up. They're not creating it out of thin air. There's a host of videos of him saying day one and 24 hours all over the place. But now when you're holding them accountable, then you're the fool for believing them. That's what we're being told. Looking in the comments real quick. See, you're not intelligent enough to talk about politics. No reply. Oh, you're talking to each other. Okay, you guys are talking about each other in the comments. Okay, I thought you were talking about me. What has the Democrats done for black people? Who asked that question? Creek Cheek. You know, Creek. Here, let me elaborate on it a little bit. Elaborate on that a little bit in detail. I'll start with Obama because that's when you started hearing folks suggesting that the Democrats were not doing anything for blacks. First black president, what the hell did he do for y'all? Let's be clear. When Obama got elected, being from Chicago, being from the south side of Chicago, exactly where I came from, I could walk to where he lived at during the time that I was. Let's be clear. If Obama got into the White House and he started doing shit for Chicago and doing shit for black people, you know damn well most of America would say, we didn't elect a president for black people. We did not elect a president of Chicago. He's supposed to do for everybody. He's in the White House being a fucking racist. That's exactly what folks would have said if he had done what they're holding him accountable for not doing. But because he didn't do it, now you're going, well, he didn't do nothing for black people. No, damn well you would not have tolerated that if he did. I mean, it's laughable. It's not the president's job to do something specifically for one race. That's just, that is the definition of racism, by the way. And there's no way in hell the white population would tolerate that. So if I gave you a bunch of answers, chances are there would be white people that would be critical of everything I just gave you. Now, remember DEI, affirmative action? That stuff that helps out black people. You don't like that. You don't even like that stuff. So there's nothing that these guys are going to do to help out black people that you're going to favor. But you want to hold them accountable for not doing anything for black people. It's kind of a double-edged sword, if you know what I mean. But what did they do for blacks? Well, we know that Biden, being the last Democratic commander-in-chief, appointed black people every damn where. Throughout the court systems, lower court judges. I mean, obviously, he put Kamala Harris in there. He put Natasha Brown, I think her name is, Jackson, in the Supreme Court. I mean, he's part of the reason Obama became president. All of them black people got their jobs because of him. And you can be sure that all of them hired other black people. You can be sure that Obama has hired a lot of black people, and he got in there partially because of Biden. Kamala Harris, I'm sure a lot of her assistants. And I'm sure she don't put a lot of black people in high power positions. And now we got a Supreme Court justice that's likely doing the same thing. So there's all sorts of things he's done for blacks. You just probably don't agree with it. Thank you, Mr. Tim, for not being a jerk off like our constituents on both sides. Santiago, I'll keep it up as long as I can. Thank you for your input. Remember when Trump threw showers at Puerto Ricans after the hurricanes? Yes, I do remember that. And the right soon started criticizing Biden for how hurricane victims were treated after the hurricane in western North Carolina. But yeah, Trump, I mean, listen, every national disaster, there's going to be people saying that they're not treated right. They criticize Biden, but as I pointed out, as you pointed out, the Puerto Ricans would criticize Trump. Hurricane Katrina under George W. Bush was horrendous. So it is what it is. Some folks say the fires in Hawaii. The left was not good at helping out the fire victims in Hawaii. Every natural disaster, somebody's going to say the president didn't treat them right. That's just par for the course. Tell me what George Washington said. What the hell does that mean? Okay. Anyway, looking in the comments, now Trump is not helping anyone. Well, a lot of people think he is. Well, Trump, I disagree. Trump is helping people out. It might not be monetarily. It might not currently be economically. But it is, I don't want to say spiritually, I'll say it's helping them out mentally, such as defending women's sports, which in my opinion doesn't affect very many people, but the right really thinks that's some heroic shit. Like I said, I don't know how many women are even dealing with that, but the right really loves the fact that he's protected the integrity of women's sports. Now, getting illegal immigrants out of the country is something the right certainly thinks he's doing a really good job on. In fact, a lot of folks on the left are happy to see immigrants out of their country. So he says he's not helping people out. Some people are being helped out by Trump. It's just probably not economically. But there's other ways that a president can do things for the people as well. The market is surging, says Jim Thomas. The market, with Trump being so unpredictable, at this point, it's hard to really give Trump credit on the market at all because it wasn't surging this time yesterday. And even though it's surging, a lot of the money that's been lost, some people ain't going to get that money back. Surging is not exactly making people whole. People have lost a ton of money. And my guess is when the market starts to surge a little bit, some of those folks who figured they were in it for the long haul was going to either lose all their money or have to ride it out for years. Some of them are probably like, look, I only lost 20% at this point. While the market is surging and I don't lost 18%, fuck it, let me get out of this just in case once those tariffs and all that shit happens, it goes the other way. Some people are probably cashing out. So for them, they permanently lost. Everybody's not going to ride out the storm. Everybody doesn't have time to ride out the storm. If you were going to retire this summer or even next summer, you're not going to make all your money back. You're going to retire with less than you would have if Kamala or Biden had won. You're not going to get all your money back. The folks that may have a chance of getting all their money back have to be in a position where they can ride this shit out for years. Everybody was not planning on doing that. I thought day one was playing Florida. I don't know what day one was other than protecting the integrity of women's sports and going after some of the enemies. But in terms of helping out Americans, I don't know what he really did on day one in regards to that. Real quick in the comments, I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. He doesn't deserve credit for being a fuck up. Yikes. I like my camera settings. Now I can enjoy. Okay, we'll try it. We'll give it a shot and see what happens. I'm ready to die tonight. Damn. Trump is about that because he's a magician. Wait, what are you saying? Trump didn't even serve in the military. You think he's all about that life, huh? All right. I don't know where you're getting that from. Well, I hope your life goes great, says Eric. But everybody needs to know what George Washington said. They do? Some 300 years later? As Simply Red once sang, if you don't know me by now, you'll never know me. It doesn't matter. He's been dead since the late 1700s. I think they need to know at this point. I love this podcast. You have an awesome personality, says Rick James. I love it. I'm Rick James, bitch. Thank you for the compliment, Rick James. I appreciate that. Anyone can Google houses for sale in Canada and see the average 200 to 400K, just like in the U.S. I don't know. I dropped some of my, hang on a second, my comments in. Damn, my comments, there we go. Okay. I don't believe politicians work for the people. They work for their donors. They supposed to work for their constituents as well, which is why I'm a big advocate for voting. If you don't vote, you can't blame that politician for not doing something. This is like with black people, for instance. Blacks are known for not voting. You can't get up there and with a white man this and a politician that. You didn't vote for his ass. He wants another term. He's going to help the people who voted him in. If you didn't vote for him, you ain't got shit to say. But I do agree they do work more for their donors because they get money from them. Elon Musk is a perfect example of that. There's no way in hell if Elon Musk had been a nice donor and only gave Trump $1 million that he would be running DOGE. He literally purchased that position. If he just gave Trump a nice, handsome donation, $1 million, maybe a couple $1 million, there's no way Trump would have did that. He would never have been over DOGE. I mean, he donated enough money to literally have a position created and gave to him. So yeah, they do work more for their donors than the people. I don't disagree with that. Tim, what do you think about people like Tariq Nasheed? I don't know exactly who that is. Give me a little bit more on that. Is he a left-wing YouTuber? I don't know exactly who that person is. Why are you not happy that he is finding fraud? Says Simmons. You know, that's a good question because, folks always say, well, why are you more pissed off at Elon? Why are folks more pissed off at Elon than the fraudulent people that he's finding? Because the information ain't true. That's why. When you say, why are you not happy that he is finding fraud? Because they're not being honest about the fraud they're finding. There's been a whole lot of stuff they've claimed they found, and it's been proven to be false. That's why people are not jumping up and down and being happy about it. Not to mention, a lot of the fraud he's finding in the federal government is people's jobs. People's fucking jobs. You're getting rid of actual Americans from their jobs, and once again, not proving that they weren't needed. In some cases, even having to hire people back. So that's why people are not on board in celebrating the fraud that Elon is finding, because too much of it, the transgender mice is a perfect example. Just completely fabricated, not even true. There's a lot of stuff he's found like that. The chainsaw approach is very unsympathetic. You're firing people. Even if that person, the government could do without that person, that's a person. I mean, there is a way to fire somebody with tact. I mean, a lot of us have been fired from jobs. Did your boss laugh and brag about firing you? I mean, it's just the way it's being handled. That's why people are not celebrating Elon. He's essentially being an asshole with it. And then, of course, you can't take away the fact that Elon Musk has done a bunch of controversial shit. My heart goes out to you, salute. You got him also working to have an openly racist staffer rehired. The guy openly stated he wanted to make racism normal again. He wanted to make hating Indians normal again. Said he was racist before it was cool. The guy who did that, one of Elon's tech bros, he didn't even deny it. He just resigned. He just resigned from his position. He didn't even deny that he said the racist shit. And Elon brought him back on. So he now works for the government again. Say what you want about that. But he didn't deny it. So we know he's fought on behalf of at least one racist. And then, of course, he's over in Germany telling those folks that the time for feeling guilty about the Holocaust is past. You don't have to worry, you don't have to be feeling guilty about what your country may have done I mean, Elon has done some controversial shit. I'll just leave it at that. So I don't know if people are going to like Elon anytime soon. Florida Blondie, if your sugar daddy wasn't with the code, he'd be everyone else. Jesus. Gosh, a lot of them was racist before it was cool. Well, like I said, if you're in a position like Elon is, and one of your employees, one of your assistants, one of your staffers is openly racist, and you fight to put that person back in government, you got to understand there's going to be backlash that come with that. Keep in mind, Elon and his staffers, their whole purpose was to find waste, fraud, and abuse in the government. Sounds like a good thing? Fair enough. But if you got one person, let me give it to you in a manner that you can understand. For my people on the right, this is for my beloved MAGA. Let's say you had someone like Al Sharpton, someone like Louis Farrakhan, someone like Rachel Maddow from MSNBC, someone who you know is biased in some form or fashion that may be against your causes, your race, your political beliefs. Would you want that person working to find waste, fraud, and abuse in the government? You think they're not going to target maybe conservative universities, conservative areas? Would you want that person? Maybe things that help out white people. Farrakhan probably would. Would you want that person working in a department where he is looking for waste, fraud, and abuse? Because Elon has somebody doing that is openly admitted to hating Indians. You think that's something that might be a little bit biased? Just understand that. Think about how it is. Looking in the comments, why are you so obsessed with race? It happened. Should you just ignore it? To not be obsessed with race, should we just ignore some of the things that Elon has did? That way you're not obsessed? Would that make it more favorable to you? Just ignore it? Okay, he says yes. Just ignore it. So if Elon gets up there and says racist shit, to show that you're not obsessed with it, just ignore it and let him get away with it. Yeah, that works very well. Kind of reminds me of the statement by Morgan Freeman some years back. How do you get rid of racism? Quit talking about it. Yeah, that'll make racists really act normal again, huh? Yeah. Quit talking about it. As if that's going. No atrocity in history ever went away because people stopped talking about it. You would still have children abused in the Catholic Church if people weren't talking about it. That's what you kind of want when you're doing something wrong. It's for people not to say anything about it. Keep it quiet. Don't say nothing about it. Let me get away with it. Just ignore it. Looking at the comments, they want you to ignore it so they can get away with it. Yeah, it's kind of how it works. It's kind of how it works. Cree nailed it. That's the only reason they hate him. 2 years ago, they were lining up to blow him, but he got fed up and jumped ship. Well, first of all, you're saying that 2 years ago, they loved Elon Musk and were lining up to give him blowjobs, but he got fed up and jumped ship. How many men get fed up when people lining up to blow him? It's gotta be a little bit more to it than that. You're suggesting that the liberals were lining up to give Elon Musk a blowjob, and he got fed up with getting his dick sucked? Really? Where'd they do that at? What is he, gay? Where the hell does that happen at? Think about what you just said. They're lining up, treating him like a god, so to speak, and he got fed up. Yeah, really. I don't think Trump would leave if people were lining up to blow him. God, maybe I don't think that was well thought out. But thank you for the input. You shouldn't be guilt tripped into voting for people who don't give a fuck. How about you? I don't disagree with that. You should not be guilt tripped into voting for people who don't give a fuck. How about yeah? But I mean, it's up to your interpretation of who gives a fuck and who don't. It really is. Can you change the screen on TV because Trump is making me sick? That's Trump. Why you don't like Trump? People are literally lining up to kiss that man's ass. What's wrong with Trump? What is wrong with the guy? I mean, a lot of folks like Trump. So I can't change the screen, but.
I'm telling you, these countries are calling us up, kissing my ass. They are dying to make a deal. Please, sir, make a deal. I'll do anything, sir. And then I'll see some rebel Republican, some guy that wants to grandstand, say, I think that Congress should take over negotiations. Let me tell you, you don't negotiate like I negotiate. Congress takes over negotiating. Sell America fast because you're going to go bust.
So he's also insulting Congress in regards to that as well. He's basically saying I can do a better job at negotiating than all of Congress. He just said if Congress takes over, they're going to sell out America, something of that nature. He said sell America fast. So he's insulting everybody in that statement. Wow. I mean, listen, Trump is a true G. You don't give a fuck. He'll insult you to your face. And the whole audience is back there clapping for him. Well, he just insulting. I mean, wow. Look at it in the comments. I see Tamara says so professional. Yeah, that's horrible. I mean, just insulting everybody in there. I just updated Instagram. I'm going to try. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, real Jeremy. Something's going on over there. What was the last time Congress negotiated anything? Was it NAFTA? I don't know. I mean, because they normally pass bills. They don't normally. Are they normally known to negotiate? Well, they negotiate with each other. You know, in terms of the budget and things like that. They don't normally do that, do they? Successful MD, it's obvious why he is issuing executive orders. Great point. Because Congress won't do this stuff. That's a great point. But the problem is, if Congress is just going to idly sit back and not challenge anything, then historically their name should be attached to it. Because you had the right or the ability to stop him from doing some of this stuff that clearly some of you folks disagree with. You can best bet once Trump is out of the picture, like passed on, like once he's long gone, the Ted Cruzes, the Lindsey Grahams of the world, they're gonna be writing books talking about they didn't agree with this that Trump did and they didn't agree with that. And the obvious question is gonna be, why the fuck didn't you do something about it at the time? But all of Congress don't agree with these tariffs. All of the folks on the right, everybody got money in stock in DC. They all got money they're losing in this. They don't agree with all that stuff, but they're obviously not speaking out. They should be far. I think Rand Paul, he said something, but there should be far more of them. They all losing money. All of them are. The same people that were bitching about the price of eggs and gas are now losing tens of thousands of dollars overnight. And they found some kind of way to shut the fuck up. How does that work? You couldn't afford to pay a few extra bucks for a dozen of eggs, but somehow you can sustain thousands of dollars coming out of your 401k and your retirement accounts indefinitely. And you found a way to maintain that without any type of reprice. It doesn't make any sense to me. Real quick in the comment. Thank you, successful MD. You lose money, you gain money. What's the point of money if that's not the case for it? Because you don't always have time, Sean. Appreciate your input. You don't always have time. I mean, if you're going to retire, let's say, for instance, you don't put in 30 years and your retirement is coming up in June. And you're looking at your retirement fund that you were planning on cashing out, and it's down $90,000. You think you're going to get that back by June of next year, of the year after? So you lose money, you gain money. Everybody doesn't have time for that. A lot of Americans are living check to check. They don't have time for temporary suffering, which is what he's promising now. They were hoping for that day one shit he ran on. Fixing the country on day one. Not all of this temporary suffering. They voted him in because they were suffering under Biden. Not to suffer some more indefinitely. But as I said, MAGA, who would have told you we need to get rid of Biden because Trump is going to fix this shit on day one, is now all of a sudden saying, well, you can handle a little temporary. I got a friend that is definite MAGA, been talking to him for years. I heard him say the other day, you don't need your 401k right now. You know, you're in your 50s. You're not going to retire for a while. You can ride this out. We went from complaining about the price of eggs to you don't need your 401k right now. Really? I couldn't do nothing but laugh at the guy. You were just bitching about how much groceries cost the other day. Now you don't lost 40, 50 grand. Well, I don't need it right now anyway. What kind of shit is that? I couldn't do nothing but laugh at him. Why are you laughing? I'm like, do you realize how you sound? You don't need your 401k right now. You don't need eggs right now, damn it. MAGA cried for 4 years about eggs. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. Somebody said MAGA cried for 4 years about it. You don't need your 401k right now. Can you imagine Biden going on TV and saying that during the height of, during the lowest point in his economy and the Biden economy? Well, you don't need your 401. Remember Obama, you didn't build that and how they went ape shit. You don't need your 401k right now. And this man was 60. He was older than I am. He's in his 60s saying that. Like, really? Looking in the comments, though, he said day one he would end the war in Ukraine. He said in 24 hours. In fact, he said he would end the war in Ukraine before even getting in the Oval Office. He made a really big promise in regards to that. That's definitely not a promise kept. But he did say that. They don't want to talk about the stock market up today, and Biden just would have took it. They do want to talk about the stock market. I don't, to me, with 124% tariff on China, or 25% that he just imposed on tariff, 125% tariff he just imposed on China today, I really think market going up because most of our shit not going to continue dealing with the volatile, unpredictable nature of Trump. He stated, at least Jesse Waters on the Fire said, that the reason Trump knocked the tariffs up on China to 125% is because China disrespected him. You think the markets are going to stay up when he's flipping stuff like a light switch off and on? Just yesterday, he was promising that he was not going to suspend the tariffs. 24 hours later, he suspended the tariff. Tomorrow, it might be it might be just the opposite. Kind of like the Katy Perry song, "You're hot, then you're cold. Yes, then you're no." If you want to invest in that shit, you want to come back to America and build a multi-million-dollar factory based on somebody's acting like that? Understand that. China is going to hurt. Florida Blondie, I think America's going to hurt a lot more. And I'll tell you this. I'll tell you why I'm saying that. The Chinese have only been a developed country for a very short period of time. They used to hurt. You know, back when I was a kid, China was poor. They used to hurt. We're not. They also are part of a dictatorship. So they can hurt, and the dictator ain't gonna hurt no matter what happens. And the people have no say-so over there. We do. We are gonna hurt far more than China in this because we're not used to suffering. They are. They kind of are. And as I mentioned earlier in the program, you need to get off the notion that they're going to bow down because Trump is known for winning. I brought up the fact that North Korea, Venezuela, Russia, Iran, a lot of countries we've imposed tariffs on, Cuba, and they just decided I'd rather be poor than bow down to the United States. All of those examples I gave you. North Korea has been dirt poor because they're not bowing down to the United States our entire life. They would rather be poor than let the United States make a fool of them. Same with Venezuela, same with Iran. China, on the other hand, has more money than all of those countries and can easily get business partners because we've treated so many of our other allies like shit. So the Chinese probably ain't gonna be hurting as bad as you might think. I just want to put it that way. I'm surprised that the IRS hasn't found any dirt on Trump. It ain't safe to do so, Faison. It ain't safe. I mean, Trump controls the IRS right now. And I'm going to say shit about that. I mean, if you even hint like you're going to speak up, you're going to get fired. What is the woman's name that just fired she met with Trump and recommended a bunch of top folks get fired? Not Bobart. What is her name? Somebody let me know in the comments. But you really can't speak out. They'll get rid of you before you can make it to the finish line. I cannot think of the woman's name. Somebody can tell me her name. Looking in the comments, advice to Trump regarding Bondi. Yeah, Bondi is the one. Yeah, just you start talking about finding some shit on Trump and somebody snitch on you and you're fired and now they probably threatening to throw your ass in jail. That's why people ain't speaking out. Advice on Trump regarding foreign relations. Being a bully will eventually get the shit kicked out of you when you run up on the right one. Stodden, 70. Yep, I agree with that. I do agree with that. And that is the thing is Trump's running a presidency based on bullying, whether it's Greenland, the Panama Canal was done via bullying. He's threatening to bomb Iran if they don't come to the table and make deals. I mean, he's even made threats to Russia, even though he hasn't followed up on them. He even told him if they don't do certain things. I mean, everything comes with a punishment. I mean, like, you can't make a phone call to any of these folks. You got to put the business out in the street on everybody. That's why I keep saying I think he could actually accomplish a lot more if he would actually be professional and talk to some of these folks behind the scenes. Because that video I just played you of him talking about people coming to him and kissing their ass, that's really embarrassing to them. Maybe they would have made a deal, but damn, I don't want to make a deal with you. And now you're on television telling my citizens that I'm kissing your ass. You make me look weak as a leader doing that shit. If I make a deal with you, damn it, let's make the deal in private. You don't go on TV and embarrass the hell out of me. So I don't know why he does that, but a lot of folks on the right like it. Her name was Laura Loomer. That's who, not Pam, but Laura Loomer. That's who we're thinking about. Yeah, Laura Loomer's the one that did that. There you go. Known for conspiracy theory. Yeah, she's far right. Well, unlike Democrats, the Republican side may not like who's in office. They do like him, but I still supported him as president, but he didn't do crap. You said, unlike the Democrats, the Republican side may not like who's in office, but I still supported him as a president, but he didn't do crap. Really, Florida Bondi? You think that the Republican Party did not like Biden, but they still supported him? Really? Where the hell that happens at? The Republican Party, not my president? Really? No. The Republican Party did not support Biden. They didn't support Obama either. Obama was a Kenyan, so he technically was disqualified for being president. And Biden stole the election, so he was disqualified for being president too. And they were about to say the same shit about Kamala if she had won. You really think they? No, they didn't respect that man at all. That's crazy. That's got to be the dumbest take of this show, Blondie, since Darren H. Yeah. I mean, I don't like calling any of my viewers dumb. I respect everybody's opinion, even if I disagree with it, because some people think my opinion is dumb. But I disagree with it. I'll just say that. I disagree with it, and I find humor in it. Republicans never did gay shit like this for 8 years. We respected him enough not to be you. Republicans, what is your definition of gay shit? I don't understand that. You'd have to elaborate more on that. Let me know what you mean when you say Republicans never did gay shit. I mean, saying that Obama was born in Kenya, and you know, I don't know, is that heterosexual to you? Talking about Sleepy Joe, making fun of an old guy that you thought had dementia. So you're gonna make fun of an elderly man with dementia? I mean, I guess that's heterosexual shit, if you want to say. Making fun of Nancy Pelosi's husband or him because you're claiming he's gay? I mean, is that heterosexual shit? Let me know what you're talking about. I don't get it. You're telling me Republicans never did any of that. Crying all the time. The social media cry, says Chris. Every time you hear Trump talk about the liberal party, he's crying about something. They're trying to assassinate me. They're trying to incarcerate me. I mean, every time you hear him, he has the definition of victim mentality. But you're telling me no social media. Okay. I think you're hearing and seeing what you want to hear and ignoring what you don't. There was plenty of social media. What do you think mean tweets are? There was no social media shit like this under Biden, huh? As if mean tweets did not happen. Did you hear the Merry Christmas and Happy Thanksgiving messages that Trump sent out over social media? Did you see the picture of Biden hog-tied in the back of a trunk? That Trump, no social media, huh? Let me know how comfortable it is under that rock, because you've been living somewhere way remote to say something like that. Wow, no social media under the Republic. Never promoted pride parades, women in men's bathroom. That's true. That is true. The right never did promote pride parades or women in men's bathrooms. You don't like the LGBTQ community, so of course you're not going to promote that shit. I mean, some would suggest that the right is one level above a homophobe. I'll leave it at that. But I mean, Trump and the right talks about the LGBTQ community on a host of subjects. Anytime you hear a right-wing network or even President Trump referring to the LGBTQ community, it's something negative. Period. I don't care what it is. If it's a party, if it's a bathroom, if it's a ball game, if it's just somebody in school. Anytime you hear the right, and particularly President Trump, speaking about the LGBT community, it is something negative. Period. So, of course they're not going to endorse pride parades or any of that shit. They don't like them. They don't like them. He takes advantage of the poorly educated. They just repeat what he says, and they don't think for themselves. I'll leave that one alone. I just come to this channel to listen to everyone who cries about Trump. It is so funny, says Florida Blondie. Well, and I appreciate you being here. I'm not going to steer you anywhere else but here. I appreciate you being here. If you're getting a laugh, feel free to enjoy the comedy. But I'll tell you one thing. You say you come here to hear everybody cry about Trump. If you go on a right-wing program, you're going to hear everybody crying about the liberals. I mean, that's kind of what happens. But here, you get to say what you want to say, even if you want to cry about the liberals or say something negative about the liberals as well. But depends on where you're at. You're going to hear people speaking negatively of both sides. If Joe Biden was speaking Trump every day, I still wouldn't understand a word the bumbling fool said. You would understand it. I mean, I get the humor in what you're saying there, William Hall, but you understood dark MAGA. You understood what I mean. You understood when he said garbage. You understood those terms because you were crying about him, as one of my viewers said. You were crying about him. You understood when he dressed it, when he had the red background. Did he call him deplorable? What did he call him? Dark MAGA, or I forgot the names that Biden used, but you understood it because you cried out about it. The right was crying about it, saying it was wrong. So your comment is humorous, but it's not true. You understood it. See, listen to my brother is gay, and he is 59, and growing up, he respected people in the LGBTQ, thinking they have special rights when we're all Americans. Respect people's beliefs. I don't, how would the LGBTQ have special rights? I don't know. Let me know what they're doing to demand special rights. And I think there is some answers for that, but I'd like to hear what you say. You're saying that the LGBTQ is demanding special rights. I'd like to know what those are. We have tried to be nice to others, says Mike. And I'd like to know what you mean by that also. Come on, Trump, why you back down? You only live once. Well, you talking about the suspension of the tariffs? All right. Being homo is wrong, that's why, says a Polish guy. That's homophobia is what you're talking about. You're saying so being gay is wrong. Being gay is wrong according to who? According to who? I mean, listen, I get the point that you're suggesting that if you like another man or if a woman likes another woman, you think that's wrong. I mean, is it right to use a toy, a blow-up doll, your hand? I mean, who gets to decide what's right and what's wrong? If you stick it in another guy, that's wrong, but it's okay to do it in a blow-up doll or a sock? Who gets to decide that? And why the hell are they in your bedroom making decisions to begin with? What? Who do you care, or why do you care where this dude is busting one? Let me know how that works out. I'd be curious. Because to be honest with you, while many on the right, like yourself, might suggest that being being a homosexual is what he's trying to say. You would suggest that being a homosexual is wrong. You got a whole naked spread you can easily find on the internet of the First Lady. Is that not wrong? I mean, she literally sold her nude body for money. Is that not wrong? I mean, that's like borderline prostitution, right? So I'm just simply asking, what do you figure is right and what do you figure is wrong? Leave it at that. Anyway, looking in the comments, now I know you can see me. Let's debate MAP. Okay. You guys are wild on YouTube. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up shortly because I do want to do an actual live, but this was mainly designed to tackle MAGA, to talk to MAGA. I don't get to talk to my MAGA viewers as much because they don't use the TikTok and Instagram app where I bring folks up. And I do enjoy talking to MAGA. You know, understand that. Don't worry about my political opinions. Damn it, I believe in free speech. So for my MAGA viewers, I like to give them some time to come up as well. And since they don't call in, I wanted to take a moment out so I could read some of your comments. And that's strictly what this has been about. I have not taken any calls. And here's busy reading your comments. Handsome, how do you think this trade war ends with China ends? It's a great question. I'm not going to pretend like I'm some type of financial analyst. Truth is, I don't know how the trade war ends. But one thing I do know is a lot of Americans are going to be hurt no matter how it ends. I mean, it's just the way it is. I mean, you put two heavyweights in the ring together, both of them are going to get bruised up. Doesn't matter who wins. I mean, Rocky won most of his fights in the Rocky movies. Look how he looked at the end of the damn fight. With so many Americans living check to check, they can't sustain what Trump is happy to put people through. Trump is not going to go broke. He's a billionaire. The people it's just like any other war. This is a trade war. But even, when we're talking military war, the people that are sending you to war, they don't have any risk of being shot. It's your kid and my kid that do. Same thing here. The trade war that Trump is getting us involved in, he's going to come out of this smelling like roses. He has plenty of money. It's you and I that are going to be the casualties in this shit. We could win the trade war and still have a whole lot of Americans going bankrupt. Remember, Trump is not a socialist. He's not for economic equity. So if you lose money in this trade war, Trump is not going to subsidize your rent or your mortgage and give you money back. You just lost. That money is not coming back to you. He's not going to forgive your tuition loan or any of that shit. Whatever you lose in this trade war, you lose it. You don't get that back. It's kind of like losing an arm. You're not going to regenerate that arm. It's gone. So I don't know how the trade war is going to go, but I do feel confident a lot of Americans are going to be casualties because of it. As I stated, folks who are going to retire within the next few years, they're going to retire with less. They're not going to get that money back. Too much money has been lost. They're not going to get that money back at all. Not to mention, if we end up imposing 125% tariffs on China, like Trump is saying, the price of products are about to go up substantially in this country. The money you used to be able to use to go on vacation or do shit with, that you got to now attribute to groceries, you don't get that back. That's gone. So there will be permanent damage for Americans in Trump's trade war. Even if we win, you're still, just like any other war. Even if America wins the war, those families that lost their sons, they don't get those back. Those are gone. You're going to lose in this war, period. Americans are going to lose. Real quick looking in the comments, though. What about the tax cuts? Why do people keep thinking that tax cuts? Listen, the average American making, $60,000, $70,000 a year, you're not going to give them a tax cut that's going to replace all this shit. You'd almost have to give them a period where they pay no taxes at all. And for folks that are not making the average salary, folks who are making $40,000, $50,000 a year, they're not paying much in taxes anyway. Earned income credit and shit like that. So you brag about giving somebody who makes $40,000 a year a tax cut. That's meaningless to them. They weren't paying taxes anyway. So the price of everything they're purchasing shoots up. Well, at least you're getting a tax cut. He wasn't paying taxes. You're not doing anything for him at all. So you're going to need a lot more than a tax cut to make up for this shit. If the person is making well into 6 figures or 7 figures, then yeah, tax cut sounds great. But for the average working American, that money ain't going to amount to enough to upset 125% tariff on all goods coming from China. Everything from coloring books to cars are going to shoot up in price. Can you imagine going to Walmart and everything in there is 40, 50, 60% more? And they're talking about, well, you'll get a tax cut at the end of the year. That ain't going to cut it. It's just not going to cover all of that. It's not going to come anywhere near. It's all right, I don't mute it. The motherfucking white guy a while ago, says Nicole. Who did you mute? Jesus. 60K if you're lucky, 100K. If you're feeding enough, if you're feeding enough to sacrifice to Mitch, just earn a little bit more, making less than 60K. You got athletes, owners, and sport teams, business owners, and such. So much. I don't get what you're trying. Sean, your comment is a little garbled up. I don't quite get that. Tim, if they would have retired in the past few years, they would have had even less because the market was down more. I don't believe that. No reply. If you had retired at the end of the Biden administration, Biden don't serve 4 years. And let's say the day he lost in November, the day he lost the election, November 5th or whatever it was, if you had cashed out your retirement fund at that point, you would have a lot more in there than you would now. The market has went down a lot under Trump, to the point where normally it takes a little bit of time before you can say this is the current president's economy, because the work of the last president is still, it's still the end of Biden's economy. Well, it is because Trump has done all this tariff shit. This is his economy. This ain't Biden at all anymore. This is Trump's economy. You can't pin this on Biden at all because most of the movement is from those tariffs. It's already on its way back up. Look, Trump promised not to impose the tariff for 90 days. It's not on its way back up. That shit's temporary. Trump said he's going to suspend the tariffs for 90 days, and the market began to rebound. What do you think is going to happen at the end of the 90 days? That's the only reason why it's rebounding, is because he offered to suspend the taxes for 90 days or suspend the tariffs for 90 days. What do you think is going to happen when we get close to that 90-day mark in July? People are going to go right back to where it was. So this is temporary at best, And that's not even taking into account that China still has that whole 125% tariff, and that's where most of our shit comes from. The market is, don't let what happened when he said he was going to suspend the tariffs for 90 days lead you to believe we're on the rebound now. He admitted it's only for 90 days. And just 24 hours ago, this time yesterday, he was saying he would not even do that. So there's a real strong possibility that tomorrow he may decide, due to how these folks are acting, I've decided to end the 90-day suspension. You don't know with him. He just stated that the only reason he knocked the tariffs on China up to 125% is they disrespected him. So he can come up with any reason to change this shit. The market is rebounding. All right, let's see what happens. If they raise the price, it's too much, people won't buy it, then see what happens. They have to be careful on that maneuver. Well, first of all, Florida Bondi, America's not the only country that China can do business with. Keep in mind, we have imposed tariffs on everybody. Because even though Trump suspended the tariffs he had on that big ass sheet, it's still 10% out there. We've pissed off enough people that China's probably going to pick up some trading partners out of this. Certainly with Trump going on TV talking about people are kissing his ass and stuff like that now. This ain't Zelensky of the Ukraine. China has some cards. China has the cards. So understand that China may not be doing business with America as much, but they're going to pick up some trading partners due to this. Other countries are going to start doing business with China because we're treating everybody like shit. I think that we in America have become too high and mighty. Our egos are too strong. We have this belief that we don't need anybody. Everybody fucking needs us, and we can treat them like that. We'll see. I don't believe that's going to pan out very well, though. U.S. companies are responsible for paying the rate. Yeah, they're going to pass it on to the citizens, right? They're going to pay the rate and pass it on to the... There's no way they're going to absorb 125% or whatever China's charging us. I think China is near 100%. There's no way they're going to absorb that. So like I said, imagine going to Walmart, everything in there, 40, 50% marked up. Everything in there. You think the average American living check to check can handle that even temporarily for a few months? It's going to be a mess. It's going to be, even if America wins the tariff war, you and I are going to lose. Because once we win that tariff war, there ain't shit at the end of the rainbow for us. All you get is the prices to come back down. All of the money you lost paying extra while they were up, you don't get any of that back. All of the things you may have lost, maybe you had to get rid of your car or get a smaller apartment, you don't get any of that shit back. You lose. No matter if we win or not, you lose. There is no victory for the average American in this. In the revenge from the tariffs, or the revenue from the tariffs. Why do we, listen, this belief that if we get a bunch of revenue from the tariffs, Trump, the non-socialist, Trump, the capitalist, is going to share that money with the American people. The guy who's against minimum wage increase, the guy who's against universal health care, the guy who's against tuition loan forgiveness, that guy is going to give you money. You believe that. You actually believe that. That's socialism, is it not? Isn't that what we refer to that as? Giving you free shit? You're not going to get any of that. It's not going to happen. You might get a 10 or 15% tax cut. That's about it. You're not going to get any of that. Well, what about the money from the tariffs? Well, it'll go into his fucking birthday parade or a host of new F-47s or something. It's not going to come to you. He's not even talking about that. Trump is on TV damn near every day. Is he even talking about giving you money? He's already brought back, according to him, a ton of money from the Ukraine. We're no longer giving a ton of money to USAID. We're saving all of that. We fired a ton of federal employees. We're saving all of that. We're kicking out impoverished immigrants who we claim used to be on our entitlement programs. We're saving all of that. Have you heard him say anything about giving it to you? So why would you think that's going to happen? That's not going to happen. That sounds funny almost. It's not going to happen. If billionaires cared, this world would not know hunger or homelessness. True. I think I heard a statement that there's enough resources on this planet to take care of everybody, but there's not enough resources to deal with all the greed. I think I have heard somebody say that before, and I agree with that. Anyhow, I do want to do a live in about an hour, so I'm gonna go ahead and suspend this because this is not what the show was about, but I do appreciate you folks. Like I said, I'm trying to address MAGA. Let me know if you favor these kind of lives where I'm not taking calls. We normally like to get in a good old-fashioned debate, but unfortunately, most of my callers have become liberal. And even though I would prefer plenty more MAGA come on, MAGA's not a big fan of folks who offer any form of criticism to Trump. So when I used to be critical of Biden and his economy, I had more MAGA viewers than liberals. But once Trump became president and he started doing controversial shit, and I started criticizing him, all my MAGA viewers decided this ain't the channel to watch anymore. So I do want to be able to speak to both sides. So let me know if you favor this kind of show as well, where I'm kind of just engaging with the viewers as opposed to a topic and debates. Let me know and we'll do a few more like this as well. If the rich cared, they would pay their taxes. That is true. That is true. Well, I think it's a matter of nobody likes paying taxes. I get it. But yeah, when you got infinite wealth and you still fighting for tax cuts, when you to the point where the taxes won't even hurt you, you know, like an Elon Musk type guy or Jeff Bezos, still fighting for tax. Like the money they taking from you ain't even gonna make a difference to your great grandkids, and you fighting against it. I mean, yeah, I agree with you on that. Tariffs will take 2 years to fully adjust in the marketplace. And that's just the tariffs, I would say, Copen. I would also say Trump is talking about the tariffs are going to cause manufacturing stuff to come back to America. That ain't going to happen in his term. Would you bring $1 billion business back to America where you got to build, you know, actual factories and shit like that when he's changing on the drop of a dime constantly? Would you even risk doing that? Where all of a sudden you might actually be deciding to open up a major manufacturing plant in, let's say, Wisconsin, but Trump gets pissed off because he has a beef with the liberal governor in that state and does something to hurt your whole business. Are you really going to be interested in playing that game? I mean, he has done things that have hurt. I think Microsoft was going to build plants in Ohio, and Trump's tariffs have led them to say, well, we're going to hold off on that now. You're going to move a multi-million-dollar manufacturing plant around based on the uncertainty of Trump? So my guess is it probably is not going to happen until after Trump is out of office. If all of those jobs coming back, have you heard of any companies talking about really breaking any ground in this country right now? Maybe a handful? It's going to take years for that to happen. And you don't really want to do that unless you can get ironclad promises from the administration. And if it's one thing I think Trump has showed us is that you can't take his word. If he doesn't like you, he might change his mind tomorrow. It ain't like MAGA's going to really hold him accountable, so you can't take his word. So, like I said, the next president, what they need to do is immediately, and this would be weakening their own power. But if I'm president, I'm immediately going to tell Congress, so I need you to submit a bill and I'll sign it immediately that effectively bans any president unilaterally from undoing deals that the United States has made. From this point on, one man can never undo a deal that our entire nation has made. It takes an act of Congress. So, and it should take an act of Congress to enact the deal as well, to make the deal. So that way you got a whole lot more voices with a whole lot more meat on the table. One man should not be able to undo deals that represent the whole country by himself. So if I was in there, that's the first thing I would tell him. I'm going to weaken myself by doing this, but I want you to propose a bill, and I'll sign it immediately, that effectively prevents me alone from making deals or undoing deals by myself. I need the approval of Congress to make a deal. I need the approval of Congress to undo a deal. Because that's what he did with Iran. He's having a hard time getting Iran to come back to the table. Why would they come back to the table to make a deal with you when you undid the last one? Look at the comments real quick. We pay more for worse outcomes, inflated pricing, and maximum corporate profits. And that ain't going nowhere. And you know where the money is actually going. It ain't going to the average American, I can tell you that. Stormy Daniels is the only person he tried who's done their job. All right, I got to step away for a minute. We're going to come back probably about an hour. We will be on TikTok, and we'll do the live the traditional way. But certainly appreciate the MAGA side of the aisle rolling with the program. If this is the way you like it, feel free to drop a subscription if you're on YouTube horizontal, YouTube vertical. Thank you, Me Too, friend of the program. Appreciate that, Me Too. Absolutely. Thank you for your support. But yeah, give your boy a subscription if you're on YouTube. Follow the program if you're on TikTok or Instagram. We will be back on shortly on TikTok, taking callers. It's your boy Tim, the Handsome Liberal. Catch you in a little bit. Don't know what I'm hitting here, but thank you.